Welcome to In the Stiffs podcast with me, Sam Aiston. I'm joined by my friends and former Shrewsbury teammates, Gavin Cowan and Dave Edwards.
You know, it's quite a good listen, I thought.
Better than Peter Crouch's, I think.
Yeah.
I think I sound like Marlon Brando, but I listen to it back, I sound like Joe Pesci.
That Dave starts with this one, and we're going to talk about players, because he's going to set the bar high.
Arguably up there with Messi and Ronaldo at that time.
Hugo's going, Dad, shout Aguero.
We've had some great times with him, like late night Chineses, and that's another podcast maybe, but unbelievable human being. But he would do things, and like you didn't want to have a go because you had respect for him, but he was horrendous.
Good evening, welcome to episode 2 of the In the Stiffs podcast. Well, lads, we've had a week since we recorded our first episode. Had time to sleep on it, listen to it, let your wives listen to it. Any feedback?
I think pretty much how we signed off last week that, it's quite a good listen, I thought, even though I say so myself. But I think we'll probably look back and think we can do better. But yeah, some of the feedback's been good from close friends and family. So who knows?
Better than Peter Crouch's, I think.
Yeah.
It's always a bit funny listening to your own voice though, isn't it? When you listen back, you kind of cringe at some of the stuff.
I don't mind it.
Well, I was saying to you, wasn't I, last week? I was like, what's the matter with my voice? It sounds horrendous. I think I sound like Marlon Brando, but I listen to it back, I sound like Joe Pesci.
Definitely didn't realise I spoke that much, but Winston's had to cut about 20 minutes out of it.
And lads, I apologise because I listened to it back with my daughter. My daughter said, Dad, all you're doing is interrupting. You're going to have to do it again. And I said, we're not doing it again. It's going out there. So sorry for interrupting all the time.
It's taken all this time for you to realise that. All these nights out and all these training sessions, mate. Can you stop interrupting, please?
I just feel I'm more interesting than everybody else. Right, anyway, so last week was all about first impressions. It was all about Gary Peters, wasn't it? We've got to get him on. This week we're going to talk about the best players we've played with and against. So best player you played with. And don't embarrass me, Gav. Don't embarrass me.
It's probably apt that Dave starts with this one if we're going to talk about players, because he's going to set the bar high, and then I'm going to come out with people.
Let Dave set the bar high. See where
we can follow and disappoint.
So we're talking whole career.
Whole career, best player. Not just Shrewsbury, best player you played with.
Has to be Gareth Bale.
Oh, I'm out.
All right.
I'm out.
All right, Dave, well done. You win. Well done, Dave.
I was lucky enough to play with him right from under 21s right the way through, and then at that magical period where we went to the Euros, where he was, I think, arguably up there with Messi and Ronaldo at that time. Watched him in the Euros. I thought he eclipsed what Ronaldo did, even though Ronaldo went on to win it, which sounds bizarre. But at that time, some of the stuff he could do was just outrageous. And I mean, you're watching him in training and you just marvel at some of the stuff he does. I always say to people, it's like when you're in primary school and you've got a year 6 kid who's bigger, better, stronger, faster than everyone else, and that's what he is like in the Welsh squad. It was just incredible. I know
I've chewed your ear off about it before many times, but is there a specific thing you can remember where you just stood back and just went, wow, this guy?
Everything. If you had a five-a-side in training, if he was on your team, you won. There was nothing else that could happen, because every time he got the ball, he would beat someone and he was scoring. His finishing, it was outrageous. And the one thing which I tell people, and I find myself being a bit of a fanboy, is at the end of training in the Euros, everyone would just go and sit on the side with their protein shakes or the waters or whatever, pretend to stretch, but what they're really doing is staying outside just to watch Gaz hit free kicks. And he would stay out after everyone and he would hit free kick after free kick, like 20, 30 balls, and he would put them in maybe a 2-yard square in the top corner of the goal every single time. And I mean, it was just outrageous, and everyone's just like nudging each other every time he hits one, and it will go up, it will swerve, the knuckleball they'd call it. And he's got and you're talking like big players. You've got like Joe Allen sat there watching him, Aaron Ramsey sat there watching him, Ashley Williams sat there watching him. Mugs, is it? Everyone's just thinking, wow. And you just can't understand how someone can be that good and just do something with ease and
make you feel so bad.
Yeah, and there's better players in the world than me. You think, how on earth is that happening? So yeah,
I remember you saying to me recently, you said if Ronaldo and Messi are supposed to be better than him, then I can't even imagine how good they can be. And I know you said that you thought he was probably, surpassing them at one point. You honestly could not see how anyone was better than him, because he would carry us in every single game. His pace, his finishing. I genuinely think you could play him in every position on the pitch, barring goalkeeper, and he would be the best player in that position if you're playing him left back, right back, centre half. Unbelievable in the air. Just everything you would want in a footballer. And
his fitness is a joke. I remember stories from when he was at Southampton as a kid. They said like he would run the 400 meters in a ridiculous time. He could have been an athlete, definitely. Yeah. And they just all seemed to come together at Spurs and then Real Madrid, and you're chatting there, and he's just, the best thing about it, he's just a normal bloke, which is amazing to think. You sat next to him at dinner, you're thinking he's won 4 Champions Leagues, and I'm sat there, I feel like an absolute imposter sat next to him, but he doesn't make you feel like that. He's just one of the lads, and yeah, he's a great lad. And I think I've mentioned to you before, like, as good as he is though, you wouldn't want his life though, the amount of stuff he has to go through with people following him and fans and things like that. It'll definitely take your toll when you're that sort of player like Ronaldo.
Sounds like
Messi,
that
Bale.
at his school.
I absolutely wouldn't want that though. No. Like, but yeah, I mean, you told me about that before. Brilliant. So your first pick in the 5-0. First pick, Dave. I love Gareth.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. High five. Yeah. Anybody? I'm not bothered who I have after that. Anyone will do.
Well, I'll rival that, Dave, because I played with Jeff Minton at Canvey Island. So.
I was going to say I played Richard Hope at Shrewsbury Town. I don't know where we go from there.
Well, that would be mine. I've played with some great players for the level I played at, and I wouldn't want to miss anyone out. The ones that made me look half decent were the ones that I really valued, you know. And one I'd say was a lad called Andy Brown, who I played with at AFC Telford and Nuneaton, and he was just a striker that even with someone like me trying to drop the ball into him, you could drop it 2-3 yards either side of him and it stuck. You could overhit it and he would get a top hat and flick it on. You know, he wasn't blessed with pace, but he's a real clever footballer and scored goals for fun. But he always made me look half decent. And then there was a lad I played with at Canvey. People might know this one, but he was at Port Vale. He was at Tottenham when he was a bit younger. He was around the Gaza era, but he was...
Who's that?
Jeff Minton. And he was he's left foot, right foot. I always remember when I first signed, he went and took a corner on the left-hand side and in-swing with his right foot, and took the corner, and then it went and it was recycled out the other side for another corner, and he's jogged across because he's going to take it. And so I've just mentioned to one of the lads, I'll like stand out a bit further with the outswinger, and he went, no mate, it'll be in-swinger. I went, no, he did in-swinger the other side, so he just did it with his left foot and just crossed it in with his left foot on the other side for an in-swinger. And I was like gone for a goal kick. I think I'd headed it over the bar from a yard out. And as I'm running back to my position, I must have said to about 3 or 4 of my new teammates, is he just done one with his left and then one with his right? And they were like, yeah, mate, that's the tip of the iceberg with him. And then, yeah, I got to find out over a period of time. He's very much like almost like a Maradona type. I mean, that's obviously a big statement, but very much a Maradona type play. You know, that sort of build, centre of gravity, really clever passes, could, you know, pull anything out of the bag. And he was a real skillful player, but a great lad as well. You know, he was very laid back off the pitch, and you could see he had an element of that on the pitch, but he just turned it on when he wanted. You know, he was far too good for the level, is the truth. Yeah, he was just so good, so good.
Imagine the panic, Sam, of stepping up to take a corner with your left foot. I'd be horrendous.
I wasn't allowed to take a corner with my right foot. I went to take a corner with my left foot.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a drop down. I mean, that's obviously no disrespect then, but that's a bit of a drop down from Gareth Bale, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not on the same level.
Maradona of Canvey Island.
Yeah. Mate, listen, research and Google him, Dave. You'll find out about him, mate. No, but obviously, there's so many players I've played with that I just, you know, should have either been playing at a high level, you can admire. But just the two for what they did and how they did it. Like I say, Brownie was like, you know, he wasn't quick at all, but some of the things that he did do, what he was good at, he was exceptional at. And Jeff was like an all-round player. And they're the two that spring to mind just off the top of my head.
Why then don't you think that this obviously happens all the time in football? You see like these absolute mavericks playing lower league football. What was it with him that stopped him going to that top level?
I'd asked the same question after that game, funny enough, or it would have been around that early period. I asked the lads, like, what is he even doing here? What's gone on? And I think the story was at the time he'd come from Port Vale because he was living so far away. He's a London boy, so he's now living in and around Stoke at Port Vale, and he'd had a Mercedes car. You know, they're giving him a phone, an apartment, and all of this stuff. But he's away from home.
Too young.
Well, I think he was away from home, and just one day the manager had said something to him in training, so he went to park the Mercedes up outside the ground, posted the keys through the letterbox, and was gone. You know, and he just went, yeah, I'm not coming back. And he was a little bit that maverick type of player that was like, look, I'll do things on my terms. But obviously when you're a footballer, you have to conform a little bit to the changing room, to the manager, to what's being asked of you. And I think he was a little bit of a maverick, like you rightly say. With Brownie, you know, I always wondered why Brownie, but Brownie was real conscientious. He's really diligent, but he just didn't love football. You know, to him, it was like, he used to joke. I remember when we were at Nuneaton, we were in the conference at the time, and we played against Luton, and we were beating them 2-1. And this defender wanted to kill him. from the corner, and I was thinking, what's going on over there? And as I went over, his age-old trick was to say, is this your job, is it? Is this
teacher, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a teacher. Yeah, he still is. Yeah, he does really well. And he'd say, is this your job, is it? Because I do this. This is a hobby for me. Like I'm going teaching tomorrow. So basically, this is your job. This is the best you can do, and you're in the 5th best league in the country. He's like, I do this for a chuckle. Like this is just me having.
This is your profession, and I'm actually doing better than you.
Yeah. And the lad was going wild because he just had no answer. He's like, we're beating you. Are you not embarrassed? Are you not embarrassed? And the more he did it, the worse the lad got. And I think we ended up winning 3-1.
The lad used to do that at Wrexham because we were full-time at Wrexham in the conference and we used to play against the part-time teams. And the Wrexham lads would be going, oh, enjoy getting up for work in the morning. And they'd come back,
the other way.
Yeah, all right then. We are getting up for work in the morning. So this is your job. So you're training 5 times a week and you're drawing 1-1 with us. Yeah. What are you doing? This is your job. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to get released end of the season. I'm not. I'm going to have a career.
I always said Brownie was too clever for football. You know, I think he could have gone and played higher, but in his head, he was like, right, well, what am I going to do? Go and flirt with that for a couple of years, or I can really establish a career, which he did. He did it really well. He's, really highly thought of. He's a secondary school teacher. I'm not sure he's ahead right now, but he's certainly doing really well. But he was too clever for football, really. He made the decision, well, I'll play at the highest I can, being part-time, and I'll have a profession as well. So, yeah, he did great. 2 very different characters, but 2 excellent players. Not quite Gareth Bale.
Sorry, you're spat everywhere laughing there. Not quite Gareth Bale. Well, I've got a few really, probably a little bit in between.
Go on then.
Not Gareth Bale, but not Steve Minton.
Jeff
joking, Jeff.
Doesn't even know he's joking.
I'm only joking. Jeff, if you listen, that was for banter. That I know who you are. I think I've played against you. I remember when I was a kid, when I was 16, I was at Newcastle, and like when you were YT, I would have been like the age of a first year YT. I didn't do a YT, but first year YT, and you're training with the first team on, like pre-season, the first game, everyone's in teams, and they said, get a partner to warm up in. So I'm at Newcastle at this stage. Peter Beardsley goes, young'un, come with me. Peter Beardsley, absolute legend, is stretching my hamstrings on pre-season. I remember just buzzing, because he was a god at Newcastle. Yeah. And then we started training with obviously the same 5-a-side team. He was ridiculous, but not just like in terms of ability, just attitude. Everything you've probably heard the stories about him collecting the footballs up, and that attitude, just pure class as a person. And then a year later I was playing for Sunderland youth team, and I've gone back to Newcastle's training ground with Sunderland youth team and with all the Sunderland lads, and Peter Beardsley's walking up and he's gone, hiya Sam, like in front of all the Sunderland lads and all that. Yeah. I was like,
hi Pete.
I was like, up there. I didn't even get that one.
Do you call him Beardo? Do you call him Beardo?
Hi Pedro. No, you're called Pedro. Hi Pedro. It's like, yeah, I probably tried to play it cool, but I was bright red, absolutely buzzing. That was brilliant.
Fair play to him.
Yeah, class act. I remember that forever, and I thought he's remembered my name that from a year ago, and he's probably thought I'll just say hello to him now, because he knew I'd be buzzing, and I thought, what an absolute
love that
class act.
Class that. Absolutely.
Who is it you told me? Was it Niall Quinn you told me about being a class act? I remember you saying
he's another one.
I know he might not be the best player, but I always love that story you tell.
Serious player.
I mean, like your best player. I know he was an unbelievable player, but
he, like Niall Quinn, when he was signing for Sunderland, I think I must have been like 19 at the time, first or second year pro. I was like, Niall Quinn for Man City, 7'4" giraffe, absolute donkey. He's terrible. All the lads are going, not having him, like as usual, like your first and second year pro, so you think you're unbelievable. Like none of us had played
a minute.
I hadn't played a minute of proper football, but proper having ourselves, like Louis Vuitton wash bag and all that, having ourselves, like terrible.
Fila tracksuits.
We're going to that Fila deal again, see if we can get that going again. And Niall Quinn's come in, and we're like going, let's see what he's about. Oh my God, his touch was a joke. He used to chest the ball, volleying off the wall, bringing it back, controlling it. He was brilliant. Like no one could believe it. The best bloke ever as well. He'd come in, like not taking himself too seriously, an absolute class act. He used to laugh at all us lot. Obviously, like he earned more money than all like 15 of us young lads together. Like, but he looked after us so much. But he was class, and he played up front with Kev Phillips. I mean, that was it. Yeah. Like that, if you can remember that, you remember them when Sunderland finished like 7th in the Premier League 3 seasons in a row. I mean, they were a joke. You got Kevin Phillips, 35 goals.
Perfect combination, wasn't it?
Niall Quinn was brilliant. And like you're sort of thinking, oh my goodness, I just didn't realise how good he was. But he was class in the air, class touch. The best player I was probably playing with at Sunderland at the time, though, it's an interesting one, like Alan Johnson, the left winger. Can you remember him or not?
Yeah, remember him, yeah.
He was an unbelievable footballer. Brilliant. He would be one of the best in terms of ability. Not just because he was in the first team, and that's why I didn't get me place, and I ended up getting
Must have been good to keep you out.
He must have been really good.
I thought you were going to say Adam Johnson. I was going to say probably not.
No. When we had Lee Clark at Sunderland as well, like he was a class act. I think it'd probably be some of them Sunderland lads, probably Niall Quinn, Alan Johnson and Kevin Phillips, I think, is like when they were 7th in the Premier League there. I remember seeing them spank a few teams at Stadium of Light and that, and they were electric.
Where was you in the stand?
Yeah, I was just watching. I was in the bar. I had 4 pints.
Yeah.
But I would say that they've been my best.
So what about, like you say, staying with you then? Obviously they're the best. What about your best at Shrewsbury?
Best, I mean, obviously Joe Hart, isn't there, who we knew when he was, he's 16. I remember seeing him train. I remember seeing him putting the ball down the halfway line and like smashing it again, trying to hit the crossbar. And like he'd hit the crossbar like, I don't know, like 3 times out of 5. And like we'd all be trying it and shanking it. I'd be thinking,
I couldn't even reach. I remember doing it with him. Couldn't even reach.
You knew he was going to be special, didn't you? You just knew he had something a little bit more than
He
the
had
rest.
The confidence, didn't he, as well?
Yeah.
As a goalkeeper, that's massive.
Do you know what makes me laugh though, Dave? When he's ended up getting like released from Man City because his feet weren't good enough. Again, when you talk about Gareth Bale, his feet were a joke. I remember at Shrewsbury, I was thinking his feet aren't good enough.
He used to play out on pitch, didn't he? Do you remember? He used to do the keep ball and the games and that. And he used to, because he was like a kid when he in training.
Yeah.
He always used to run, like you're saying, he was confident. He used to jump around like crazy. He was like a kid when some of us would feel the pressure and all pent up about getting in the team on a Saturday. And like you said, he'd join in, wouldn't he? He'd join in, his feet were
He
unreal.
embraced it, didn't he? He loved that pressure. And if you went and watched Joe now play at Celtic and you watched his warm up and you look at his distribution, like out of his hands, his sidewinders, the sidewinders, all the volleys, and his kicking out to the fullbacks. It's immaculate.
To see his feet
it's so good.
Like his feet were. Like he should have played left wing. He could have played left wing for Shrewsbury better than me. He was better on the left wing than me.
I remember
100%.
being sat with Jamie Haynes, who's obviously my colleague at work, and we were sitting watching an England game. I think he's on one of his early caps, and he like you say, he got that sidewinder, and he flicked it up. He's like, I think it was one of his first or second game, and he's hit this teapot volley, and it's gone straight to Rooney's chest on the halfway line, right by the dugouts, and we just looked at each other and went, first of all, to be able to do that.
You used to hit them to me at Gainsborough.
All the time, yeah, all the time. but to have the bollocks to be able to do it as well. I mean, it's one thing being able to do it, but then being able to do it in front of 60, 70,000 at Wembley. But yeah, it
was his confidence. I remember in training, we used to do shooting sessions and the balls are going everywhere and he'd be in goal saying, "You lot are effing rubbish. You're so bad.
Gary
what are you
Peters
doing?"
used to go wild, didn't he?
Yeah.
He'd go, laughing a joke, lads, but someone needs to score. And he'd like, it'd be like,
Trying, Gaffer,
focus, we've got to score. And you just couldn't score, could you? And Gary Peters was like literally losing his head.
Joe would have everyone off, wouldn't he?
He used to do the penalties, though, didn't he? He'd say, take penalty, give you 3 penalties, and if you score 2, and he used to say that to me all the time, and I don't think I ever scored 2.
Yeah, no, very good.
I remember the best I've got to tell us. I know it's a bit off what we're talking about, but when just say about what a good lad Joe is. I've definitely told you this, Gav, when I took my little boy Hugo to we went. It was Stoke Man City, and we played. It was at Stoke's ground, so we were behind the goal at Stoke, and Joe's warming up for Man City. I've got Hugo right next to me, and Joe's warming up like 10 yards.
He's only little then, Hugo.
Yeah, so I've gone. I'll just shout, like he's 10 yards away, so I've gone, Joe. And he's come over, jumped over the barrier and like stood there talking to me and Hugo and that. It's like Hugo's buzzing, all the fans are going like, what's going on there? I just thought, what a class act, jumped over. Anyway, Joe's jumped back over, hasn't he, and ran back on the pitch. And Hugo's going, Dad, shout Aguero. I'm like, I don't know. Sergio, it's Sam from... you carry on with your warm, Sergio. I'll catch you after. I'll catch you in the bar after. That's Hugo there, bless him.
No,
what about you, Dave? Shrewsbury.
I look at players that I think probably helped me the most. And quite, I look at Martin,
Welcome.
Martin O'Connor when he first came. Someone I looked up to and thought you could tell he was a level above. So a midfielder who had come from Birmingham City, played in would it have been the Worthington Cup final then, whatever the League Cup final was.
They won the League Cup.
They won it, yeah. He liked to tell us about it, didn't he? He was captain.
And he used to always say to you, like, used to laugh at us, didn't he, for being like, he always saying how we were all skint and that, and he used to say, mortgage, what's a mortgage? Is that a French word? What are you talking about, Sam? What you want about it? All right, okay, well done.
But you could tell he was a level above. But I think I said to you lads before, like, I love playing with Stuart Drummond. So played alongside him in the middle of the pitch, and he just made my life so easy. And he's one of those players who went a bit unnoticed, I think, at times, but would control a game, good passer, good tackler, big, tall,
so
combative.
dominant, wasn't he?
Yeah, he
so
would just boss the middle of the pitch, and
so good at set pieces as well.
Yeah.
Like, just remember thinking,
both boxes.
Like, could have played centre half, couldn't he? Could play up front.
He must have been a manager's dream, mustn't he? You just put him in the team, he's going to do a job every week. I thought
big, strong lad as well. We used to look after a little bit, like,
I think he's the academy manager at Morecambe now. I think that's his club, isn't it? So
knowledge.
But I would say, them two out of everyone, I think would really sort of stand out for me.
It was hard though, because I mean, like, say, like Mark Atkins and Nigel Jemson, and like Ian Warren was class one. He's left with, but like they were all at the end, so we just never saw like little Andy Thompson as well. We never saw the best of them, did they? Because they must have been, I don't know, whatever age they were, like 34, 35.
They were there for paydays at the end of the season. But wasn't all to keep playing.
But be like someone judging me being a Gainsborough at 35. I wouldn't you think that's what I was like all the time? Definitely.
I remember Oko. He's like, spoke to him recently at a game, because I think he does a bit of, obviously he's working for Birmingham and stuff, doesn't he? So he's out and about, and he always reminds me of that time we were on the coach, and obviously I was signing a young lad again, trying to make an impression, and he was giving me a bit of stick, to be fair, and he came over and I can't remember what he said. He went for it, and someone said, are you going to answer him? I went, I don't even know what he's talking about. I was like, is that Robert Earnshaw? And he lost his head, didn't he? He's like, I was calling him Robert. I'd called it. I was like, fair play, Robert Earnshaw won't let it go, will he? And that was it. Then Luke Rogers was on him going, Robert, Ernie, and he always says to me, he said, I like, for about 10 minutes I couldn't speak. I couldn't believe you said it. But I think
no one ever went for a court at the start.
No, he
come as a big name, so everybody sort of give him a little pat. Normally he hammered everybody first day. It was like, be a bit careful. He has
played Premier League,
he played the Prem and all that, but he was good. He was quality, mate. He was good on a night out and that.
Yeah. I remember we played away one of my first games, and he was just like, I was thinking to myself, is he going to be able to? Because obviously he was quality when he, like, back in the day at his height, like you say, you don't want to judge him, but he's still playing League 2 football, and he's really 35. He's probably coming to the end and all that.
He was coming to the end by the end of that season.
He couldn't run, could he? But on the ball though, he just would not give it away.
Mate, he was ridiculous. He was just ridiculous on that day though. He was so good, and like I say, I give him a bit of that banter, but he was good with me, to be fair, because not many people dared give him anything, and I'd give it him probably because I was a bit naive, not brave, more naive than anything. And he took it really well. But I remember that game, he was frightening. Like you say, just didn't lose the ball and in tight areas.
He'd get on your case, so he'd be good. He'd get on your case. If you go sloppy, like if I was on the left wing, he'd be like, hey, come on, you switch. He'd get on your case, which was good one. He was good.
Yeah, I really liked him. He's another class act, isn't he? He's another class act.
There you go.
Best player for Shrewsbury, guys.
Best player for Shrewsbury. I think there's a couple that stand out to me. I think one was Ben Smith.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Ben.
With a long hair.
He was a maverick,
what
wasn't
a
he?
footballer he was.
Oh mate, he was ridiculous. If he had pace, he'd play in the Premier League.
Can I quickly tell you what quickly? So he signed for us, didn't he? So we went away on a pre-season trip. So it must have been Jimmy Quinn. Would it have been Jimmy Quinn who signed Ben Smith?
Yeah,
anyway, like back then, pre-season trips were an absolute joke. I mean, that's got to be a podcast in itself, the pre-season trips, because my goodness.
Is that the one down in Torquay or somewhere?
We had a few. Honestly, it was worse. I used to get more rest at Magal.
Do a bit of editing on that
at the end. It was brilliant. But Ben Smith, we've gone out. Ben Smith, like, he liked to drink, didn't he? So we've gone out, and we ended up staying out until like 4 a.m. So the next day, like, we still had training. Gaffers picked the team. Picked Ben Smith, like Ben's first game. Ben's gone, nah, I can't play, Gaffer. Nah, honestly, I was up at 4 a.m, like, I can't play. Goes, what? Don't care. What? Your first game you playing?
I remember this.
Nah, can't play. So he's on the bus, come back from training, and I've gone, you all right? He's gone, yeah, but I'm not playing today, like, too hungover. I went, what are you on about?
It's that Maverick thing, isn't it? Like you say.
We ended up, I think it was like St. Blaise who played, so we ended up, me, Tolly and Mossy, all playing in centre mid. Well, he'd got in at 4 in the morning, us three had got in at 5 in the morning. We were 2-0 down after 20 minutes.
Mate, Smudger will look after himself,
Yeah, I was like, thanks for that, Ben. He just didn't even make an effort. Us three played.
His problems were he'd done his shoulder a couple of times at Shrewsbury.
Right. He had a dodgy shoulder.
But he was just on another planet compared to the rest of the lads, footballing wise. And if he had pace, he played in Premier League. I'm absolutely sure of it.
He used to lose his head. He never used to tie his covers, did he? He used to lose his head. And the centre offs that were kicking it, and I'd be like going, how am I in the same football pitch?
What's the point? He just said, what's the point? What is the point of you being here?
Yeah, why are they just kicking it and heading it and just miles all the time? Yeah. And even mate wants to run away. He's like sprinting up and down the wing. And
he's another one.
You knew he was a player for his straight refusal to ever wear studs. Those copers he'd wear.
Gary
Game Meadow in January.
You got to wear rugby studs.
Game Meadow in January in your rubbers.
Gary Peters is raging.
Screaming at him. And he would just be like, he used to make me laugh. He used to call him Gal.
Yeah.
Gal, listen, I ain't going to do it, pal. He go, Gal, I ain't wearing them, mate. He go, Ben, Smithy, you need to be wearing these. He'd be like, Gal, listen, mate, I ain't doing that.
You slipped over 3 times, Ben. Yeah, but I can't wear them, mate. I can't wear them.
The thing with it, I got really close to him because we're both from the same part of Essex. So
come through Arsenal, didn't he?
Yeah, he come through Arsenal, and all of the above. And he had a good career, to be fair, good lower league career. And I already knew him prior from growing up, and I played football with his brother. We've got mutual friends who I've all played football against, all that part of Essex anyway. So when I saw him, it was a real, welcome, fresh face and all of that. So I used to love it. We'd go to the gym together. Me, him and Stewie Whitehead used to spend a bit of time together.
He didn't do a lot of the gym though, Ben Smith, did he?
Do you know what? To be fair, funny you say that. When he'd done his shoulder, that's when he started having to do strength work and that. And then he actually ended up, because he's a little plump thing, but then he actually ended up getting in really good shape, like doing a lot of work on that. Because he was told, look, if you don't sort your shoulder out, you're not going to be able to play again. And I think that hit home a little bit. So he was actually the one that would say, we're going to the gym. And then obviously we'd be all like in the saunas and the jacuzzis and that, doing everything we could to get away. And to be fair to Smithy, Smudger would just be having, like, doing some of his strength work. But I always remember he ended up leaving him and Gary Peters. Like, he's like,
that was never going to work.
See you later, Gal. No. See you later, Gal. But he it was funny. It was funny. I went, I'd left Shrewsbury as well. It was Hereford Shrewsbury, and he phoned me. He went, mate, do you want to come down and all that? So I was like, yeah, brilliant. I'll come down and watch the game. Hereford Shrewsbury would be superb. It was at Hereford, and he was on the pitch and that, and he was strolling around. He's got his laces undone, running around in his copers and that. And I could see Gary Peters in the technical area, like looking at him, thinking. I actually felt for Gary Peters on a day because Smudger was like by far the best player on the pitch. They won 3-1. He scored 2 goals, and I remember the ball's come down onto him on a half volley, and he's hit this half volley with his left foot, which is supposedly his weaker foot.
He was both-footed, wasn't he?
Outside of the foot, he sprayed this ball from right to left. It's gone straight into the lad's path. So he scored 2, set this one up, and then he's been subbed after about 75 minutes. They've won the game, and as he comes up, he's like right in Gary's face like that, like clapping, going, and he's like pointing at him, going, "Cheers, Gal, all the best, safe journey." I can hear him shouting, "Safe journey home, all the best."
He could be though. He could be a liability. If you under the cosh a little bit, he was a liability.
He'd be the first to tell you though.
Yeah.
He'd be
get me off. If it's a battle,
if we're winning 1-0 and 10 minutes to go, he'd be like, take me off. I'll happily go and have it. And he wouldn't stay on the bench. He'd go in and have a shower and go, how did it finish? All right. Like
because he IG run box, he'd try and flick one around the corner, wouldn't he? He'd kill you, wouldn't he?
Mate.
I'll give him a little bit of a plug here, because he actually wrote a book when he finished football, and I read it. It's a brilliant book called The Journeyman. So if anyone listening wants
read it. There's one bit in it that he gets totally wrong, because he put in, and I phoned him straight away as soon as I bought it, because he puts in there that Gary Peters grabbed me around the throat in the changing room. I phoned him and I went, what, mate, what are you doing? And he was like, that sells books, mate, doesn't it? I was like, cheers, Matt. Cheers.
But it is a great book. It's a brilliant book talking about sort of the life of a lower league footballer.
Journeyman. What is it?
Yeah.
Journeyman. Great book, yeah.
It's stories about Steve Evans and Crawley and goals and amazing goals.
Amazing book.
Steve Evans is supposed to be.
And Smartwood as well. Smart would be brilliant to get on here.
Great lad.
Anybody else, Gav? Was it your best then?
Yeah, no, so definitely Ben Smith, and I think I'd have to give a shout out to Neil Sorvell. I thought he was
I had him when I was thinking about it as well.
Yeah, he was he's that water carrier, like can never lose the ball, good technician. And there's some others, like Michael Symes was an unbelievable finisher. Like I couldn't understand what was going on with him in training, because you try and do everything you could to block him, you know, and sometimes what you do is, obviously as a defender, you're trying to do everything you can to put him off. I'm not going to be able to block him. I'm not going to be able to get there. What can I do to put him off? And you just turn around every time and the ball's in the net, and you're like, you know, small-sided games and stuff. His touch, his spin, how he held the ball up, he was class. Mark Stallard was a little bit like that as well, wasn't he? He was good.
Simesy had everything to play at the top, didn't he? The size of him, his touch, good in the air, good finisher.
He was frightening, mate. So they're the ones that really stick out to me. I mean, there was obviously Joe, by far and away next level. Yourself, Dave, like class, and they're the ones that stick out really. Neil Sorvell, Ben Smith.
Obviously I mentioned Dave. I would seems a bit harsh, but obviously Dave was class. But he was like, you were young Wolf when I was there.
I was a runner,
just a baby,
just a runner.
Box to box though, mate. Like you're always there, weren't you? Everywhere.
I always had good midfield partners. You go for Neil Sorvell, Stuart Drummond, Martin O'Connor. Three absolute
good players to play with.
They would just let me go. You know what I mean? I could run, get in the box, get out wide, and they would just keep the middle of the pitch safe.
And talking to you as well on. You got some good experience. And also if it just gets a bit lively in there, they'd all throw a tackle in and that wouldn't.
They'd look after me massively.
Yeah. Right, lads, I know in the modern game, apparently everybody's a good trainer now, but I think back in our day, we probably played with a few people who weren't the best in training. Dave?
This can be controversial, couldn't it? Talking about worst trainers.
Anybody who springs to mind, Dave?
Difficult one. I'd say from my time at Shrewsbury.
Sorry, Dave, can I just interrupt you there? What were you like at training, Dave? You were a good trainer.
In terms of attitude, I would always just run and run.
Train like you played.
Probably to a detriment, I think, towards the end of my career when I've got too many miles in the legs. Because I want to train every session. I'd want to run as hard as I can every session. That was my game, though. I couldn't get away being a technical player. Yeah. So I think I was all right. Yeah, I'd have to. Yeah. Yes, I think I was all right. What you, Gav?
I was a bit hit and miss, to be honest. There was days when I think I look back and I think almost like, not that I wouldn't apply myself, but probably wouldn't be so focused. You know, like I would always be there, but I wouldn't be present. Does that make sense? It was almost like the training sometimes would pass me by, you know, but if I was focused and present, you know, I knew I could be right in there and I could be, you know, I felt like I could be a brilliant trainer. But I never felt at that time that I was ever present enough. Towards the end of my career, I felt like I was a much better trainer. And I used to drive other people, but earlier in my career, I always felt as though I let training pass me by. I didn't really see enough of the value in it. And then that's what I'd probably say towards the back end of my career, I was better at.
But I would think exactly the same. Like I would have said I wasn't a good trainer in my early 20s, but I think when I started getting 30, I think I became a really good trainer, because I think you do see the value in looking after yourself and the effort and the attitude, and you just can't do it in the same way.
You become a leader as well, don't you? Like I felt, because I was always like that centre half, trying to be that leader character. You always felt like you had to drive the younger lads as well, so you had to be the example. Whereas earlier in my career, I always felt like maybe I took it for granted a little bit, and it was, like I say, I let it pass me by. I wish words that we speak a lot at the moment about being present, being conscious, living in the moment. I didn't really do that enough, I don't think.
I think I trained better as I got older, but I think mine was probably more of a fear of people judging me. And I'm thinking, well, they're expecting me to be half decent here because of what I've done in football. So I think I need to be on it every single day. And like you said, you need to look after yourself a lot better, don't you?
Oh, definitely.
So in training, you know, if you've not done enough work and you think I need to push myself because I need to get a bit out of this.
I was the opposite, Dave. There wasn't a high expectation of me, so I could get away with it.
But you see the value in it more, don't you? I mean, I look at when I've trained at Shrewsbury sometimes, and, you know, you'd sometimes rock up for training, and it would, like, you train it, but like, I don't know, it would be you'd just be thinking about the game or thinking about getting away, or if it was the five-a-sides, I'd be buzzing, I'd be all over it. If it was like crossing and finishing, I'd be like, oh no, this is boring. You know what I mean? Like, we just probably should have spent a lot more time doing.
I think some of the technical stuff I was always in for, but like I say, when it was like the tactical element and, you know, doing the out of possession stuff, they're the stuff that when you're younger, you don't see the value in, do you? You're like, well, what am I like with the ball at my feet? Whereas actually managers are like, first and foremost, let's see what you're like for the team. Can I trust you? Yeah. And so not that I wasn't to be trusted, but I think it was, I just totally took that side of it for granted. Just let training pass me by, you know.
I think you do though when you I don't know if people do now, but I do when you were a kid. I mean, we used to sometimes go out, didn't we? We'd go out, and then if you go, we go on the Sunday, and then you train on the Monday.
Yeah.
And I remember training on the Monday, like,
you want to go unnoticed more.
I remember like hiding on the wing. I remember one time, like, the ball's come to me, or the ball's come to Tolly, I think it was. Night, it should have come to me, but I just hasn't shouted for it. And Tolly's going, come on, Sam, get involved, stop hiding. He'd obviously stopped in the night before, hadn't I? I was fuming after. I was like, that's a terrible trick, that is. I says, you know I was out last night, but I'm having a go at him for having a go at me, because I've been out last night.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure that doesn't happen anymore.
So worst trainers, anyone that
worst trainer,
trained with?
Go on, Dave.
I would say, I don't want to be disrespectful to him, but I'd say Leo Fortune West would have some bad days, wouldn't he, in training?
Not for the want of trying.
Not gonna like that.
In games, he was unplayable. So you never mind someone who wasn't, say, the best in training, but as long as they turn up on a match. I've had plenty of lads who've been unbelievable in training, but crap on match day, and they're the worst type. So
Leo was crazy, wasn't he? Because we joked about it recently, didn't we? About how he was like a gentle giant off the field, but on the field he was an animal, wasn't he? And like he'd do things in training, and it would be like a group joke. Everyone would be laughing, not to try and take the mick out of him, but it was almost comical, like a pantomime with him sometimes, wasn't it? Like his footwork and horrendous, mate. Like missing chances, and I love him. We've had some great times with him, like late night Chineses, and that's another podcast maybe, but unbelievable human being. But he would do things, and like you didn't want to have a go because you had respect for him, but he was horrendous, Dave.
It was almost like an on-off button he had. And like you said, he's being nice. He's almost too nice in training, just a nice human being. But then you get to game day, bam, changes, and he would produce some of the goals he scored for Shrewsbury.
Oh mate, he was frightening. We played against him. I remember me and Kelvin Langmead were centre halves that day, and it was Torquay. I think Saji Burton played as well. He played Leo, and flipping it, we had a right old tussle with him. And like, I couldn't have done it on my own. Kelv couldn't have done it on his own. Saji would have had a right go, to be fair. But all three of us are like hanging around his neck, bashing into him, getting smashed to pieces. And he didn't say a word. You know, Saji was trying to smash into him in the tunnel and everything. He's walking off as if nothing had happened, like he was going to go and do his garden. Do you know what I mean?
Class that day. I remember playing that.
Yeah. Do you remember that game? And then what made me laugh was Gary Peters, with all the week up leading up to that game, everything was about football. Everything was about we're going to play like Barcelona and we're going to move. Everything was about wave patterns. And then we played against Torquay, who were back to front, smash it to Leo, get off the bits of Leo and all of that. And we'd all been hanging around his neck. And then we come in. This was on the Saturday. We come in Monday morning, and Leo walked in, and I thought I was having deja vu. And I was thinking, he's come to get me. He's come to get me. And we'd signed him. And then the next thing, all week we were going like, get out your feet, smash it into Leo, and Dave's running off Leo, and Leo was missing it from a yard out and thinking, what have we got here? And then he was just, when he got on the pitch, mate, he was a different animal, wasn't he? So, like you say, I wonder if it was that.
Was he trying in training? Was he trying?
Mate, with he was
giving 100%.
An ultimate professional.
He used to give 100%.
He used to say to me, oh, mate, he was the ultimate professional. And he would get the ladders out before training, and he'd go, come on, Gav, let's do some ladders. And I'd go, right, okay. And he'd go through the ladders like a baby elephant. And when he first did it, I thought he was joking.
Good one, Leo.
So I'm behind going, what are you doing, Leo? And he's like going, go on, now you. So I'm going through him, and he's doing it again backwards. And I think he's like taking the ladder out.
Ladders all tangled around his legs and that.
And mate, and then obviously training and that, and it'd be laughable. Then he'd get in his beaten up old Mercedes, drive off again, and then on a Saturday, he'd be like practically unplayable. Oh, mate, frightening. Couldn't live with him in a game.
I'll tell you one you might know. Steve Evans at Wrexham, the centre half.
Yeah, I know Evo well.
Yeah, he's a great lad at Wrexham, like brilliant. Yeah,
he was in the Wales squad with it.
Yeah, he was in the Wales squad all the time.
Yeah.
So, but he used to come and train on a Monday morning. I don't know what lifestyle choices he was making back in Wrexham, but back in the day, he used to come in on Monday, and he used to love playing two-touch. Like, who fancies a game of two-touch? I'd be like, who against? Against you? I'd be like, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. He was terrible. He was the worst ever. And I was like, and he'd go, wait, I'm not in next week, lads. I'm away to Romania with Wales. I'm like, you've been picked again for Wales. Like, what? Like, what does Giggsy and that make of you when you come running out with a ball in your arm going, who fancies a game of two-touch? And he'd play with Giggsy and stuff, and he went, I don't know, they get on all right. I like them, they're good lads.
Brilliant. I love that.
I can't imagine you. He's good at heading, isn't he? But
he's a good defender.
He used to try and play two-touch all the time. He was the worst ever.
He elbowed me at the race course, like out of accidental, gentle giant, wasn't he? But I went up for a header, and he's cleaned me out, straight red card, and he just bet over me. Sorry, Dave. Walked off.
Yeah, that's not an exclusive club that everyone's done that to. But he was good. I'll tell you another one we had at Wrexham was this Silvio Span from Jamaica.
That don't
most
sound great
laid
to start
back
with,
kid
does it?
you've ever seen, and in training, like he was really good player, but not this training. That used to change the matches. I remember one time we were losing 1-0. I think it was something like Oldham or something, losing 1-0 in a mud bath. He's got subbed at half time, like not bothered. He's ready to run himself a bath and all that, right? So he started running this bath at half time. We've come in at the end of the game. I think we lost 1-0 or 1-1 or something. We've come in. I've walked in the dressing room. He's in there with his in a bubble bath with his podcast on. He's obviously been the whole thing. He's just sitting there going, "No woman, no cry," singing this Bob Marley song. I was like, Silvio, I think the gaffer, you better get out of there because the gaffer's going to lose his head.
Please get out of the bath.
Gaffer's going to drown you. Get out of there.
Who else, Dave? Leo? Who else?
At Wolves, we signed this Austrian guy called Stefan Meyerhofer. He come from Red Bull Salzburg or someone like that. And I remember him coming to training. He was massive, 6'8", strong. Thought he's going to have a bit. And apparently the chairman had seen him play and signed him, so Steve Morgan. So the gaffer didn't really know anything about it. He was one of those ones. He was massive. And we had Michael Mansion. Do you remember Michael Mansion? He was at Chelsea. Yeah, like
I remember what you mean. Yeah,
like
I remember.
Top player. But he's centre half. But he was only a small centre half, like 5'10" max.
Yeah.
And first session, we're going long to Stefan. He's going to play the first game as new signings do. And Mance is just beating him. He's one of those 6'8", jumps 6'2". He's one of those ducks at everything. You think, what is he doing? The manager persevered with him, and I always remember I was stood in the gym at Compton at the Wolves training ground looking at it, and you can see the first team pitch outside, and he's doing shooting, and his shooting was terrible. Yeah, Terry Collins, the assistant manager, you see him, he's laying it off to him, he hits it, TC turns around to look, head in his hands, just them two out there.
Target,
he'd have another go.
Target.
Lays another one off, over it goes. As Stefan's walking back, TC's just shaking his head, and it was just, it was horrendous. Even though he did score in his debut somehow, but yeah.
Did he?
6'8", you're thinking, yes, get in. He is going to be
exactly,
destroyed.
and he was having himself on his.
That's the worst thing.
The best thing.
That's the worst thing ever.
The first week he brought in a calendar, which he had made. He must have been a big thing in Austria. He had this calendar where he's naked in every picture, just holding something, covering his bits, and he just thought he was like an absolute Zeus. But
you're like thinking, this, I can't wait for this lad to play.
It's going to be unbelievable.
He's going to transform us. Yeah, we're going. Oh no, he's terrible.
Nice lad though.
What about you, Sam?
I think worst trainers. I was thinking that Silvio Span and Steve Evans. I can't really think of that many other that I've played with who have been so bad. Like I think we had a few at Shrewsbury, but I don't know, it was a hit and miss. Depends what you were doing. If you're doing 5-a-side, I think everybody would be on it a little bit. I remember Steve Antrobus, Shrewsbury legend. He come with us for pre-season training, and he was massive when he come back. But he was a handful, wasn't he? But I remember doing little skills with him, little half volleys and that. And I remember throwing them up for him, and the ball was bouncing off his knee and his chest. And all that.
Don't say that.
And he was massive, and I was like, unlucky throb. just try and get it in. Just try and get it in your hand, Steve. Don't worry, I'm prepared to jump if I need to. I was like in goal. Like, you know when it's 2 yards when you throw it up for a little volley back at me. I'm diving to the right, like trying to look after him a little bit. He's on trial and that. Trying to like grab one and stretching all over the place. Thinking, what he been doing, Sam? Oh, nothing. Just been trying to catch Steve's half volleys.
He's another one though, isn't he? Like you say, like training, but in a game.
Yeah,
what a right handful he was, wasn't he?
Yeah. I'm gutted you said that. I used to look up to Throb. I used to watch him thinking he was unbelievable.
Yeah, he wasn't. It's just, he was a legend, wasn't he?
I always remember when I was at Telford, we had a young lad come on loan from Shrewsbury. Didn't really know too much of him, but he was doing well at Shrewsbury at the time. He strolled in. I was like, "Hi mate, Gavin, nice to meet you." Like, introduce you to the lads. He's like, "Oh, I'm Andre Gray." So obviously, just young lad at the time. He was in Shrewsbury's youth team. Yeah, just everything he did, he just couldn't do anything right. Young lad, and obviously you're in the circle, and the ball comes to him, and so you're doing a circle, and obviously you're finding out about people in there. The ball comes to him, comes bouncing off him, and I'm just going like that. So straight away, every time he gets it, like that. And he just kept going under and under and under. And he did all right for us because he was a young lad. And then I think he went to Hinckley then. He ripped it up and got a move to Luton. So I saw him, and obviously he's sort of a bit bigger lad now, a bit of a man. I was thinking, flipping heck, he's a big lad. And I said hello to him and all that, and sort of re-met our acquaintances. And first half, we played away at Luton. Just his pace and power, and you're not going to win those two battles with him. Knocked the ball past me, out of play for a goal kick. I was like, flipping heck, still got that touch then, Andre. And this has gone on the whole half. we're beating him in the air. He's thrown him on the floor and all of this. And I'm like, are you all right there? Like, you know, just a problem with your ears? Have you lost your balance and all of that? Just all the normal stuff. And as we're running in at half time, I'm jogging behind him going, you might as well stay in there, Andre. You might as well just leave it, mate. Stay in the changing room. All of the stupid stuff, pathetic stuff. Come out, obviously 45 minutes, I think by about 52 minutes, we're 3-0 down, he scored a hat-trick and he's chasing me all over the pitch going, you all right, mate? Yeah, you anything to say? And I was like, no, mate. And then like after the game...
How long's left, ref?
Yeah, after the game. The first one was terrible as well because he's come to him and I've stepped in when I shouldn't have done. And he's so strong and so quick and he's nudged the ball past me about 5 yards, but got his arm out and literally just like around my front, just moved me out of the way and he's just gone straight through in the end. He scored a hat-trick and then after the game he chased me up the tunnel as well going, all right, Gav, anything to say? We lost 3-1.
I wish I'd kept my mouth shut.
Yeah, massively. And then I saw him and his girlfriend in the foyer on the way out and I went... come a long way, didn't it? Yeah, and he's like laughing, saying, "Oh yeah, flipping." I was panicking at half time, thinking I was never going to get another goal. No, but he was obviously a young lad when he come with us. But how well he's done super. We were actually, ironically, I took we're QPR supporters. I took me and my boys and my wife went to watch Derby QPR the other night, and he scored the winner, and could have scored a hat-trick when he was on. He was brilliant.
Great goal, wasn't it?
That circle was the place, though, wasn't it? When you got in the circle, so you always have a circle at the start of the training session, especially on the try lists and that. You get in here. Yeah. In here. Oh, it was horrible. And if someone was having a bad time, you'd be like on and on and on and
on. The way we
used
used to do it is if you got 10 passes, you'd stay in for one, and then stay in for two.
You got Megs, you'd get stay.
Yeah, and they'd stay in. So sometimes they'd have to get the ball back 6 times to get out of there. The best one we ever had was when we were at Canvey, and do you remember Glenn Pennyfather? Remember him? Like a bit older, but he was our assistant manager, and he's like his hip was gone. Like Glenn, and he's had an operation recently from what I've heard, but he was great character, you know, that assistant, but proper good player in his day. Southend, I think he was, but his hip had gone, but he was the best one in the circle. If you annoyed him or had anything to say to him, or he'd bearing a bit of a grudge, you weren't coming out of there.
You'd always get the old midfielders with equality and that.
Yeah.
Like I never used to be that good. I necessarily lose my head, just try and close down and that. And you'd pick someone, wouldn't you? So I just get someone like Matty Redmile, be like, right, let's get in here, let's go early, let's just take a couple out, like and just trying to scare someone, just try and take 3 lads out in the end, just go, no, give it, hey, you're in, just bully them.
The best ever when you keep someone, they couldn't get out of there.
We had Paul Lambert at Wolves as manager, and he would always join in the circles, but he refused to go in the middle. So if you were the one who passed it to him and he gave it away, Edo, you're in.
Yeah, that old trick.
I've had one nightmare in a circle as well. When I first joined Reading, when you go to a club for the first time, you're so nervous, and before the warm up, right, have a little circle. Yap Stam's manager. We got into this big circle, got the ball first time, shinned it straight into the middle. Right, Edo, you're in. Go in there. First time I go to press someone, Yap Stam megs me.
Meg by the gaffer.
Yeah.
The lads are like, we signed. Who's this? You signed it?
The worst start ever.
Have we got the receipt for that?
The season ticket as well.
Yeah.
That one was already. Oh, you got a season ticket.
Right, what about toughest player you've played with? We're only doing players with, aren't we? We have to do players against another one.
Yeah.
Toughest player you've played with?
We'll have to come back to me on that one.
Dave.
One sticks out for me, and it's from my early Shrewsbury days. Dave Riddler. He was, mate, if a ball went, if there was any sort of 50-50 or even a 60-40 in my favour in training, he was the other side, mate, I'm pulling out. He was just, I've never seen anyone so brave going into a tackle or a header. Was you there with him, Gav, at all? Do you remember Rids?
He's just before me.
So he was in the conference season, and he came in, Scouser, wasn't he?
Terrible football.
As they mostly are, aren't they?
It's terrible. Like great.
Honest as anything, but would head anything. I was scared to death of Rids. Let's get a lovely lad, but on the training pitch, I'll be scared he was going to break my legs or anything.
We used to say, I just head it. If he was in the circle, like if he was on the circle, you wouldn't pass him. Just head it. Pass it to Rids' head. Yeah. Pass it to his head. But yeah, he was brave on. He like honest as anything. What you, Gav?
Yeah, I'm struggling to really recall. Should have thought about it previously, but like
do a bit of research.
Yeah, a bit of research. It's not like me. I've played. I think because of the era we played in as well. Like it's a little bit different now, isn't it? Like there's a different type of tough, and back then to be seen to be tough would be like a bit of a naughty tackle, or that I suppose would be seen as a bit cowardly now. Like when I first signed for Shrewsbury, a different type of tough. But you look at Leo, for example, you talk about tough. I mean, like I say, he's the nicest guy in the world off the pitch, but on the pitch, like even in training, Like, you know, he would think nothing of sticking an elbow in your mouth and knocking a couple of your teeth out. Like, so you look at people like him. I always remember when I first signed for Shrewsbury and I was a little bit in awe of Darren Tinson. Tino was like real strong man's man.
He wasn't tough.
No, he wasn't tough, but
Hasselhoff,
but
beautiful, wasn't he?
But on the pitch, he was like a man mountain, wasn't he? And he's like, he didn't want to be messed around. So he was.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. He wasn't like he's played with Dave Riddler, wouldn't he? Like Riddler would put his head in. Tino was too good looking sometimes, wasn't he? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I played with him for about 5 games, and all I remember is like he was being that leader. You know, he's putting his head on the line, captain. And when I talk about tough, I'm talking about like he's willing to put his head on the line, and he was getting stuck in challenges and all of that. Like that was good. And Stewie Whitehead was another one at Shrewsbury. And trying to think of some of the other lads.
I mean, Leo's up there.
Yeah, Leo's
because you played that Chester game where they had the brawl at the end.
Yeah.
And Leo, big 22-man brawl. Everyone's heading down the tunnel. The Chester chairman at the time, were they?
Yeah, had the gloves on. And
headed down the tunnel. Someone Vaughan, wasn't it?
Vaughan, yeah. I heard about that, and he put his leather gloves on, was standing out in the tunnel ready for.
I was right behind Leo, and he clocked Leo, and Leo didn't go too far, but he's like, he just stood on the top of the stairs, and he's clocked Leo, and then it just
like
went crazy.
Like a full-on punch.
Yeah, like full-on. Cracked him in the face, like anyone else would be gone, and Leo just stood there.
His head didn't move, did it?
Let's go then. Yeah, literally.
I know. I thought normally they go down. No,
he's
still there.
Like Debo from Friday, he's just cracking, and he's like not moving. Yeah, it was literally like that, and it just sparked a ridiculous brawl in it, and everybody piling Mental.
In. I think I was over the riverside clapping the fans, just trying to stay away from it.
Dave, there's not all the fans are all gone, Dave. What are you still doing there? Stands empty.
Yeah.
Oh, they were good days.
I think for me, when I was at Sunderland, like Kevin Ball, like I know I was a young lad, but he was immense, like horrible as well. So like we used to have the tunnel on your birthday. So you did the tunnel on your 18th birthday. I remember running through the tunnel, and I mean, this would never be allowed now. All the lads would line up by the side and just punch and kick you all the way through. So you just run through, everybody's trying to give you dead legs and that. But you'd get to the end, all a bit of banter, like trying to trip you up and give you a little dead leg. Got to the end, Kevin Ball would be waiting there, like bouncing on his toes, hit you with like a 3-punch combination in the chest. I remember like having 3 bruises on my chest. Got you there, Sam? Like, yeah, you did. There was one time as well, I think we were playing Derby, and he got a broken jaw, and he's come in at half time. Peter Reid's like, off you come, Ball. He's like, I'm all right. No, you're not all right. I remember looking across, and his jaw was like split in the middle. So I thought he'd had like 4 teeth knocked out on the bottom, but he hadn't. His jaw just separated because his jaw. He's like, I'm all right. You're all right. You're not all right.
Paulie, you're not all right, mate.
All right, mate. He's got a broken jaw.
We might have to address this situation.
He had his mouth wired for about 3 months after that. He's like, we're just going to play on. I'm all right. I was like, where's his teeth? This was going, it's just his jaw split. I went, his jaw split. So like this big gap there. It's just like split open, like Skeletor. I was like, he's like, I'm all right. What are you going to put elastoplast on
You're
that?
definitely not all right.
You get those mad players, don't you? You need to get stitched up. And they're like, just stitch me up. And I'm there thinking, if it's me, I'm thinking, no, make sure they're nice and neat. I'll come off. It's all right. Take your time.
Make me look lovely.
I think Bawley was like, sorry, going last one. Bawley was like one who put man to man on everyone, like, because he was horrible. I remember we played Liverpool, and he put Bawley man to man on McManaman. He's like, follow him everywhere. Anyway, lost 2-0, McManaman scored 2. Like, Bawley's come in at the end like no one's saying anything of it. And Bawley's afterwards, did nothing. I was like thinking, well, scored 2, Bawley. We've lost 2-0.
What'd you say? Nothing.
You know what I mean?
Nothing.
Everybody like, he was your man. He scored 2, so that's the reason why we lost. But
didn't notice him.
Yeah, no one said anything. I was like, spot on, Kev. You're right there. He did nothing. Lucky he was.
One I've just remembered there for being stands out way above and beyond anyone I played with was Noel Blake when I was at Exeter.
Oh yeah.
Oh mate.
My God. Can't believe you haven't thought of him.
Mate, he's the standout as well. I always remember he walked into the training ground and he just went. They introduced me and went, this is Gavin, new signing and that, and he just went, all right, Coconut Head. And I was like,
it's Gavin. It's Gavin.
All right, but he was like, he talked like that. He go, all right, Coconut Head. And I was like, hiya, all right, Noel, nice to meet you. And I'm like walking down thinking, Coconut Head, why Coconut Head? Couldn't think for them. And literally, I don't think he's ever called me Gavin up until recently.
Why Coconut Head?
Just like when I head the ball, just go left and right and wouldn't go where it's supposed to. Yeah, I don't even know if he'd seen me play.
I hadn't even seen you play at this point.
He's like, all right, Coconut Head. I was like, all right. And then he was brilliant. We lived in a huge house full of all the players, and he lived by the front door. So obviously, if we were sneaking out on a night out, we had to try and get in and get past his door. I remember we come in one night and his door's just on the left. I had to run up about 4 flights of stairs to get to my room. And as I've got to the bottom of the first flight of stairs, his door's gone. And I literally, if you wake him up...
He's coming.
Mate, he used to love his sleep. He used to love his sleep. And I could hear him coming, and I've never been so scared in my life. Like, he's running up the stairs, and I'm jumping in, and I've gone in there, turned the light off, like all my clothes on, pulled my covers over, and he's like, open the door. And I'm like, well, what's going on? What's going on?
Fast sleeping, yeah.
Anyway, the lock's like, pointless. And he's just pushed the door through, come through, and he's going, have you been out? I was like, no, it's the other lads, Blakey, like trying, like looking like he's got musky eyes. And, oh yeah, no, the other lads, Blake. He's like, if I find out you've been out, I was like, no, not at all, because obviously it's like a game in 2 days or whatever. But yeah, all like, and I saw him as well. I remember that we had a derby and Exeter versus Torquay, and I was in the stand watching. Yeah, this young lad, I forget his name now, but a young lad for Torquay, he's gone through on Blakey and 2-footed him, late tackle. And to this day, I've never seen it since, or I'd never seen it before. And Blakey's got up, picked him up, and actually held him up with his hands, and the lad's legs are actually dangling off the floor. So it's ridiculous, and everyone's gone piling in, and he was an absolute animal. But he always used to say, keep it on the island, big man. Yeah. Coconut head, keep it on the island. Keep it on the island. And he'd just give you, it'd be like, he couldn't handle his drink either. So he'd have 1 pint of Guinness. And because we all lived together, he was doing his degree at the time. So he'd walk in, he'd go, coconut head. And I'd go, yeah, yes, Blakey. He'd go, get me another drink. And I'd be like, I'm trying to watch the telly, like trying to have a bit of downtime. You're not really my boss or anything. I'm just, And he'd be like, don't think you heard me. Get me a drink. So you'd do it, come back. And then after like 2 or 3 pints of Guinness, he'd start with his Jamaican twang, and he'd just start calling you all the names under the sun. I'm just sat there watching telly, and he's just like hammering me. And you couldn't say anything back because he was an absolute animal. But as well, brilliant mentor, nicest guy in the world, like wanted to toughen you up. He was the one guy like living 4 hours away from home at the time, proper looked after me. Yeah, he'd toughen you up, but also when you needed it, he'd put an arm around you. So he was clever, very clever. And he's an unbelievable guy, done brilliant things with England.
He wasn't the best footballer though, was he?
No. He could head through a brick wall, and he'd probably tackle through a brick wall, but yeah, he weren't the best.
I remember he come on a sub for Exeter one time. I think we played for Shrewsbury. It might be, I can't remember what the score was. I remember he's come on, corners against, and he'd come on, he was all,
yeah.
Hang it up. I'm like, who's marking him? And I'm like, Rids. He said, no, who's marking him? I'm stuck on the back post here with him. I'm not, what's happening here? I'll swap with you on the post.
He was a man mountain, he was.
Sounds like Jimmy Quinn, that. Hang it up for me.
Hang it up. 44. That'd be a good podcast. We need to talk about him as well.
Brilliant. Enjoyed
Anything
that.
else,
No, not from me. Really enjoyed that. Probably a bit longer than normal.
It's gone a long time, that, hasn't it?
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun, Sam.
Right then, lads, that's the end of episode 2. That's 2 in the bag.
Brilliant.
That's it then.
Flying by, innit?
We're for testimonial now, aren't we? Are we having a night out celebrate or what?
Yeah, do we have a night out, celebrate?
Do you think that was better than the first one, Dave?
We went on for longer, didn't we? More to talk about. Felt a bit more natural. Looking forward to the podcast awards now.
I'm looking. Brilliant. Right, well, give us some feedback, please. I've stuck a little bit of paper that's got everything on there, hasn't it?
At In the Stiffs on Twitter, at In the Stiffs on Facebook, and inthestiffs@gmail.com. Email some nice feedback would be great. Some positive while we're in our infancy.
Are we doing an Instagram?
That's visual, innit? So we'll have to.
Perfect.
We'll be all right when we. I'll be all over that.
All right with that.
Any questions or topics?
Make me the profile picture, Wits.
Sorry, Dave?
Any questions or topics or ideas, guests?
Guests.
Yeah. And again, we are in our infancy, so a little bit of critical feedback would be good as well.
Friendly feedback.
Yeah, friendly feedback.
Be a critical friend.
Yeah. Positive feedback.
Right, thanks very much, everybody, lads. See you later.
Cheers, guys.
I've got to go home now. School night.